Good morning. This is Drew Mahan with Cloud County Community College. I'm working with college skills class on a career connections project. This is a project where we connect with Cloud former alumni and show their path from education through their career path, whatever twists and turns that it might have taken. Today we have Dusty Buell with us, and thanks for taking some time out of your schedule to meet. Start off with our first questions. Where were you from, and what was your education path from high school through college?
Sure. I'm from Augusta, Kansas, so just outside of Wichita in south central Kansas. And my career path from high school to college, basically, I saw college as a means to continue my baseball career and my athletic career. And it wasn't until I got there that I realized that the gravity of the situation, and it's so much more than just a path to pursue an athletics career. And so my path was pretty traditional. Graduated high school, immediately during that summer, moved to Concordia about halfway through that summer, got acquainted with the town and the college, and then started practice immediately once we got there.
And then where did you go after Cloud County?
So, life is not always exactly as planned. And so when I left Cloud, I went to the University of Kansas. And at KU, I found that basically my choices in how I am taught did not really mesh well with the class sizes and the instructors and how it was taught at KU. So after my first year there, I transferred to Emporia State University, where I found a little bit smaller of class sizes and something that fit my mold a little better. Finished out my bachelor's in communication and PR at Emporia State, and then it took me a little while to want to go back, and it wasn't until 2016 that I went back and received my master's from the University of Concordia in California.
Oh, wow. So your major throughout Cloud and Emporia, you said, was communications and public relations. I guess talk about how that transitioned you into your first career down that path, what that looked like then and maybe what that looks like now.
Sure. Well, my life was on a path when I came to Concordia to go into pre-law and become a lawyer. That's really all I ever wanted to do. And what happened is that, I saw an opportunity, and whenever you start learning things and you start going into those classes that are not just your gen ed classes, but those classes that are going to propel you into the next phase of your life, I found that I just didn't enjoy what I thought I wanted to do. And so going in and public speaking and writing papers and doing the research and being the voice and the face of something bigger than myself was very appealing to me. And so that's when I made that change to communication. And I think it's really about relationships with professors and seeing those professors that take an interest in you and know that they want you to succeed. I think that helped guide me to where I wanted to be and where I wanted to go. And, I woke up, and even on the 8:00 a.m. classes, I still wanted to be there and wanted to do what my instructors were teaching me. So when you find that passion and you find that love and it's reciprocated between your professors and the studies that you're studying, college seems to be very easy once you start doing those things that really you want to do for the rest of your life. And so after graduating with my bachelor's degree, there was a couple things that were pulling at me in my life. My father always worked in a nonprofit field and was the head of nonprofits and worked more in the family preservation side, so trying to keep children out of foster care with supports to the family. And then my mother was always big into advertising, and she was on the ground floor kind of with Pizza Hut coming through, and I was always in their commercials or in their coupon books or whatever, and there was always that appeal. It was the time I went with her and we met Oral Hershiser in LA to do
Oh,
a
wow.
commercial with him. You know, being starstruck, being a kid, seeing this life that she was living, it was incredible. So I knew that it was one of those two paths that I wanted to take. And I ended up finding a job right out of college doing PR and communications for a foster care agency in Wichita. So it kind of melded the two together. And really, I haven't looked back from there. Once you're in it and you see what these kids are going through, and you see that you can have a hand in getting a child adopted, giving them a better path for their life, it just kind of hooks you. And so that social service, that service to families and children, really has guided my values and principles throughout my life. And to where I sit here today, you know, I have worked with children in the foster care system. I've worked with children that have had severe developmental disabilities and autism. I have worked for children that have lost a parent or a sibling and offered them an organization that gave them support groups. And now I sit here as the CEO of a children's home and a child advocacy center that immediately when a child is abused or neglected, they walk through our doors. We don't get to choose who we serve. We serve that child that's hurting right now, and we meet their trauma when it's very, very raw. And so I sit here today basically doing the exact same thing that I was doing when I first entered the workforce, and still loving every single minute of it.
Wow. No, that's really neat. And a lot of our students are trying to figure out who they were in high school and who they want to become. And sometimes that connection, like you said, comes from your family of opening and exposing you to different things. Sometimes it's through your education path. You get exposed to new things, but you've been able to blend kind of some of those past experiences with some of your education as well. You mentioned your family, and you mentioned some of those professors that helped you along the way. But during your professional journey, who's been a big mentor for you, or been kind of that guiding light for you?
You know, it's always been family first for me, and mine's a little different. I do have mentors within my field.
Mm-hmm.
My very first mentor was Sandra Gasca Gonzalez, and she was at my foster care agency, and she was our director of operations. Since then, she has gone on and she served in the Obama administration for their foster care people, for those children, and now she works at the Annie Casey Foundation. And I find her to kind of be that solace I need, and she understands what the kids are going through. She understands what I'm going through, and it's a very special, unique perspective. But I would say above anything else, rather than looking forward for a mentor, I kind of look backwards, and I see my children. I have 3 kids, and you know, I look at them for that power, that support, that love, because I see these kids that I work with every day,
Yeah.
and I want to grab those kids and take them home and give them a better life. And so seeing my children enjoying their life and loving their life, I think that means more to me than anything else in this world.
Wow. And what we're kind of seeing through some of these career explorations is that some of the most powerful jobs that have impacts on people's lives are also some of the most strenuous in terms of mental stress, time commitment sometimes, whether it's an ER doctor, whether it is working with law enforcement, criminal justice, whether it's working with foster care, in your situation, social services. You've talked a lot about the good things of your job, but what are some things that kids must be aware of if they go into a profession like yours?
It's hard. It's so hard. It is emotionally and mentally exhausting every single day. So every day I come to work and I know there's going to be kids in the home, or I know that we're going to be interviewing kids and hearing the gut-wrenching stories of these kids. And so every day when I wake up, I know that I'm going to go get my heart broken at work. And these kids are going to look me in the eyes and they're going to want me to help them. And I have very limited amount of help to offer other than keeping them safe when they're in my home here.
Yeah.
And so not knowing the end of the story, not knowing that when this child leaves here, are they going to a better situation? Are they going back to a situation they looked me in the eyes and told me that they are fearful of going to? It is probably the hardest job, the hardest thing in the world, especially on my staff that works one-on-one with these kids, that they just know. They know that it's going to be emotional and it's going to tug at their hearts and there's nothing they can really do. And then they got to go home and live another life. I leave here every day after work and I go straight to the high school because I am the Augusta High School head soccer coach.
Oh, wow.
And so I leave this job and go straight into helping kids on the soccer field. And so I go do that for a couple hours, which lets me unwind and get my day out of my head before I go and see my family. And I think that with that, it does help get my mind clear. I don't go straight home, straight to my family with all of this on my shoulders and on my heart. And so I think having kind of that connection with something else outside of work is the only reason that I can stay in this field. A lot of people and a lot of my staff suffer burnout and they just have to get out. They have to go do something else because it's just too hard.
Yeah. And I think a lot of professions are like that it just takes a good fit for the personalities, the people, but also you mentioned having that balance, that work-life balance and your priorities being set in your family. A lot of these first-time freshmen, they're just getting a first taste of having some of that life balance of, am I social this weekend, or do I get my work done, or do I have a job, or do I be involved in groups activities? And now things have changed completely with coronavirus. So, I think you're giving amazing input onto several different careers that can be high stress, but high reward as well. What are some of your future goals that you still have?
Sure. My goals will change as my life changes. And, my goal is to serve people. It is to make life better for whoever I'm serving at the time. And, I'm not looking beyond where I'm at right now in terms of a job and a focus, because I feel that I could retire here and be happy. But I also feel that there are bigger things out there that are going to need somebody to champion their cause. And so I will never kind of shut down another opportunity. But right now my focus is on the kids that I'm serving. And I would also just say, because I know that you had said this earlier, that coming into Cloud County, say you're 18, 19 years old, and you have lived a certain life coming up there, even from high school to college within a couple of months, you don't necessarily have to be that person you always have been. And I think we get caught up in this, I'm the athlete, or I'm this partier, or I'm whatever that misnomer is that somebody puts on your head all throughout high school. You have a chance to change yourself, change your life, change that adjective people put in front of you, and become who you want to be rather than who everybody thinks you are. And I think that that is very important to know as you step on campus, that you may be this person that everybody thought was lazy, didn't do your work, got bad grades. Well, guess what? all of that is out the window. Nobody
Yep.
knows who you are. Nobody knows your study habits. Nobody knows anything about you. And this is the time that you can change any of that. Or you can reinforce all those positive things that people say about you. And Cloud County offers you that, because you step on campus as a student. Nobody knows who you are. And by about the 4th week, the teachers know your name. The teachers know who you are. The teachers know your personality traits and how you learn. And so understanding that and really building up those relationships with your teachers from opening day is so important to basically the rest of your life, definitely the rest of your college career.
No, that's amazing. You took all the words that I want to say to these freshmen right out of my mouth. So I'm always preaching, whether it's to my cross country and track team I coach in the afternoons, or whether it's the career or the college skills kids we work with in the mornings. You are not your GPA. You are not your basketball stats. You are not your height and weight on a roster. Like nobody's going to put athletics, academics, and activities on your headstone or in your obituary when you pass away. They're going to talk about you as a person. That's what people are going to hire is you as a person. Yes, you might have that degree to open up the door, but they're going to be molding you into what they want to have you do in the future anyway. So you brought up some great points, and I really appreciate your time. But if you have any other advice for students as you leave.
I'm here, and I'm open, I'm public. And so if anybody has an interest in life after, or has that anxiety or frustration, or they hit a wall, I can help. I can be here. I can be a mentor. I can be somebody that they can email during a dark time or during a very, very happy time. I love celebrating with you as well. And so I'm here. I have several students that have come through as either interns or have just reached out that just need somebody, whether it's marketing or PR or nonprofit or leadership. I feel that if you start on a path to be a leader, life is going to be a lot easier. So take advantage of the resources. And even if you don't know exactly what you're going to do, because it could change 2, 3, 4 times by the time you graduate, if you focus on leadership and being a leader, you are always going to be ahead. And once you find that perfect place for yourself and that passion for yourself, those leadership skills are going to translate no matter what you decide to do.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate this. This is a great interview this morning, and we'll be contacting you if we need any students to kind of get a path.
All right. Thanks, Drew.